Seems to be no end in sight for the ongoing water crisis facing many communities in KwaZulu-Natal. Tomorrow, the South African Human Rights Commission is set to release its report on the KZN Water Inquiry. Now, the Commission says since 2020, it has received more than 600 complaints regarding access to water. eNCA's Lethiwe Mdluli, of course, joining me now. Lethiwe, you have visited a few of those communities in Durban. What can you tell us?
Well, Baron, we went to Ntuzuma a bit earlier on today just to speak to the residents about their ongoing water issues. Ntuzuma, Inanda and Hambanati are one of the townships here in Durban that have been without water since the floods last year. One of those complaints, I'm sure, is coming from residents in these townships. We have been visiting them for the past year, just basically talking to them about the water crisis and how they are able to go by without having that service. And the frustrations are very high. Even today when I spoke to some of the residents, they were telling us that they're very frustrated and they don't know where to turn to anymore. And of course, the South African Human Rights Commission tomorrow will be releasing its report because they conducted an investigation looking into the whole of KZN and its water problems since last year in August. That's when the investigation started, and tomorrow we are expecting them to release that report. But in speaking to a lot of residents across the province, because we also went to the Ugu district, Ugu has been suffering from water shortages for years now, but that has not been addressed. Unfortunately, officials have not been able to properly respond to these issues. And we also went to districts in Umgungundlovu, Umsunduzi. Basically, all 11 districts here in KwaZulu-Natal are suffering from water shortages. It not only affects residents, it also affects businesses and the economy as well. You'd remember that last year here in eThekwini, following the floods, during the December period, there were a lot of areas that did not have water. And as a result, holiday makers opted to not come to Durban to take their holiday. And this, of course, affects the economy of the city. When we went to Ntuzuma and spoke to the residents, they also said that their frustrations come from the fact that they are being billed for the service that they're not getting. And they have tried to engage with leaders. They've tried to engage with the Speaker of eThekwini. They've tried to engage with the mayor, but unfortunately, they haven't gotten a response from these people. And they're saying that they don't know exactly what causes the water shortages, because they do know that the infrastructure was damaged, but it's been a year. So they want an update from the leaders. But of course, we are going to be awaiting for that report tomorrow and find out from the South African Human Rights Commission their findings and what exactly is the issue when it comes to supplying residents with water. We spoke to this resident and asked her what she's hoping to hear from the report tomorrow and whether residents have any hope that following the release of this report, there are going to be some initiatives coming from the government side and also the leader side in terms of providing water to these communities. And this is what she had to say.
The report will be out. We'll get the report and it will probably say what we are saying. But the issue is that the municipality will not implement those things. If the municipality cannot do the simple thing of just coming house to house and reading the meters and do not estimate. So I do not have confidence that they'll be able to implement whatever findings that the Commission has, because there wasn't supposed to be an investigation to begin with, because there is a department that is supposed to fix water issues. There's a water department. So why isn't the water department doing what it's supposed to do? So to say that they'll fix it, I doubt it.
Well, Lethiwe, there's definitely a need for strategic intervention, not just on the short term, medium term, but the long term, definitely. So hopefully that can come out of this report and some suggestions made as to how this problem can be addressed. But of course, like we heard there from that resident, not a lot of trust in municipalities in general in KZN.
Yes, Baron, and I think the reason why a lot of communities are not trusting their leaders or any promises that have been made is because it's been years without water provision for them, and they've heard a lot of promises from these leaders. I mean, when we do engage the eThekwini municipality, for instance, because we've done a lot of stories in this municipality, they keep on making promises saying that the reason why a lot of communities are not without water, or are without water rather, is because of the floods last year, and a lot of infrastructure was broken, of course, and they are working in trying to fix that infrastructure. There's also other existing problems that were there just before the floods, and unfortunately the municipality says that needs a budget, and unfortunately they don't have that budget. I know for a fact that the mayor said to fix the water issues or the water shortages in the southern parts of Durban, including Umlazi, Adams, and also Amanzimtoti, they need about 1 billion rand to fix a pump or a water pipe that supplies that area with water. In terms of the northern parts of Durban, they are saying that the infrastructure was mainly broken down because of the flooding. So they are now working to try and fix the infrastructure, but it doesn't seem as if they have a time frame as to when these municipalities will be properly provided with water. And I guess the frustrations from residents comes from that there's been a lot of promises made, but unfortunately there's been they aren't seeing any results from those promises. We also went to Umsunduzi a few months ago, where we visited a rural area in that place, and we found out from the residents that they were promised boreholes by the municipality back in 2019, and that project was abandoned in 2020 during the time of COVID-19. It's still abandoned till this day. When we spoke to the mayor about why it's been abandoned and when they're going to go back and try and work on that project again, we didn't really get a response that was sufficient enough where we can go back to the community and say, okay, the municipality is saying that by this time you will have this borehole. So a lot of residents are just basically saying that they've had enough and they're just looking for answers. Hopefully with the reports that is going to be provided, or that the Human Rights Commission is going to release tomorrow, there will be some recommendations, and hopefully the government and also the municipalities across KZN are going to listen and try and implement those recommendations that will be in that report from the South African Human Rights Commission.
Thank you so much, Lethiwe Mdluli. Of course, we hope that those recommendations will be implemented ASAP.